Clippers have just fired Doc Rivers, or just about like 2 hours ago have fired him. What are my thoughts about this? Who will be the next coach of the Clippers, and did he deserve to be fired? Let's get into it. All right. So first thing I'm gonna answer is, did he deserve to be fired? In my opinion, I think basically, kinda. My number one issue with him is that he wasn't able. The chemistry between the Clippers teammates was not there. There was a clear, from like last year's team with like Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams. They were clear, like, hustle guys, you know what I mean, like that. And they weren't really meshing with the superstars, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And there was a clear divide of that in the team. And that was kind of one of the concerns of this team in the regular season, was that there was a huge chemistry divide. They weren't able to, be able to play with each other well. Now, another thing that kind of made him, like, fireable, I guess, is the fact that there are two series where they played, or the two series they did play, Porzingis and Jokic, they put up big numbers. Now, obviously, they're going to put up big numbers with this team built that has a smaller center in Zubac, who's not a bad defender by any means, but not a great defender. But, I mean, and you had Harrell, too, but I think he's too small to guard those guys. But, I mean, they didn't really have any adjustments towards that. I mean, they put Kawhi on him at times, but I think that was really it. So, I mean, I don't really know what the answer is to guarding Porzingis and Jokic when you have that small, or not as small of a lineup, but not able defensive big men as the Clippers did not. I think that is one of the other reasons he was fired. And I mean, that's really it. I mean, he's been there 10 years. And I mean, it's just crazy that he got fired, especially after, like, this was like a couple weeks after that he was announced that he's fired. Maybe they made the decision like a couple days after, but I mean, yeah, it's just, I didn't really expect this to happen. Maybe this was like maybe the exit interviews were like a couple days, exit interviews, excuse me, were a couple days later, and maybe Kawhi said something about, like, this is just speculation, no factual evidence to this at all, but maybe Kawhi said something like, hey, this dude should be fired or something like that, and we need a new head coach. But, like, yeah, that's all my really reactions to it, or that's my reaction to why he got fired, all that stuff. Now let's get into who I think will be the next Clippers head coach, or who are the candidates for his job. Now, the first guy I'm gonna say is was not mentioned in the Woj article, but I've seen a bunch of stuff towards it. Sam Cassell. To me, he's the perfect candidate for this team. I mean, he knows the roster. He's been with this team for a while, I think. Yeah, I mean, he's the perfect candidate. He's like kind of like Tyronn Lue, except he knows a lot more X's and O's, like fundamental stuff, than Tyronn Lue does, in my opinion. But yeah, I think that's one of the candidates, and I think that's who should be the Clippers head coach. Now into some other candidates. Tyronn Lue, he could possibly be their next head coach. Again, he kind of has the same resume as Sam Cassell, except he's only been there for 1 year. I'm not sure how many years Sam Cassell, but he's been there for a couple years, like 5 years, something like that. Tyronn Lue definitely could be their next head coach. One interesting thing to note, Tyronn Lue was scheduled to have an interview, according to some Sixers beat writer, excuse me, I forget the source, but yeah, there was supposed to be an interview for Tyronn Lue. Tyronn Lue is going to be interviewed by the Sixers for their head coaching spot on Tuesday, so yeah, definitely it does look like this may have been a push to try to give Tyronn Lue the job before he commits to the Sixers job. Maybe that's it. I mean, maybe the Sixers go after D'Antoni. But, I mean, this is all just speculation. The third candidate, and this, I'm only putting this candidate just because he was mentioned in the Woj article, is Jeff Van Gundy. I personally don't think Jeff Van Gundy is going to be the next head coach of the excuse me, not the Sixers, of the Clippers, just because I just think he's not. I think he's been out of the league too long. would be just my concern. I don't know how good he is with chemistry because I didn't really watch 90s basketball. But I mean, obviously that Knicks team, I'm thinking like the Knicks team and the Rockets team, maybe they had chemistry issues. I don't remember like the late 90s Knicks teams having chemistry issues, which this Clippers team definitely had. And I don't remember that that late 2000s Rockets team having chemistry issues between Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming. Yeah, I don't think maybe it's because I guess Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming, they both had a lot of like injuries and a lot of injury concern during their career. Maybe it's like because he's good with load management and stuff. I don't understand why Jeff Van Gundy is getting consideration for this job. I mean, he's definitely a great coach. I just don't understand the connection between him and the Clippers. And I don't think it would be a good fit for this team. But I know I said it earlier, but I do think Sam Cassell would be the best coach for the Clippers. I do not think they have to go. I do think they should go in-house on this one and pick Sam Cassell as their next head coach of the Clippers. That's really all I got today. This is the end of the video, and like and subscribe, watch other videos.